The Krebs cycle, also known as the citric acid cycle, is a part of the process of cellular respiration. The main purpose of the Krebs cycle is to convert sugars into ATP so that your cells can use the energy from the food you eat. Now, before the Krebs cycle can start, there's a process called glycolysis that occurs in the cytoplasm of the cell. The basic process of glycolysis includes taking a 6-carbon sugar, or glucose, and turning it into 2 molecules with 3 carbons each, called pyruvic acids. The acids enter the mitochondria and begin the citric acid cycle. Firstly, the pyruvic acid has to split into a carbon dioxide and a compound called acetyl coenzyme A, or acetyl-CoA. The acetyl-CoA attaches to an oxaloacetic acid found there, releasing the CoA part. This acid has 4 carbon molecules, which combined with the 2 we just added, makes a 6-carbon compound known as citric acid. They're traveling through the matrix of the mitochondria when one of these carbon molecules gets a little mad at the others and breaks off into CO2, leaving the other 5 carbons to fend for themselves. Then, a pesky little thing by the name of NAD+, swoops in and steals 2 hydrogen atoms from the 5-carbon compound. It attaches to one of the hydrogens and rips the electron from the other, effectively adding 2 electrons to the compound and giving it a neutral charge. There's also a positively charged hydrogen floating around, but don't worry about that. This turns this compound into NADH. Back to the main molecule, another one of these carbons gets fed up and leaves as CO2. This time, we get a 4-carbon compound left behind. And guess what? Another NAD+ comes in and steals 2 more hydrogens. Out comes an NADH like last time, but this time we also have another friend joining in the mix, an ADP and a phosphate. An enzyme combines these 2 and we get an ATP. Now, our 4-carbon compound does a few little things before we reach the end of the cycle. Firstly, it converts something called FAD to FADH2, doing basically the same thing as when we convert NAD+, except it attaches to both hydrogens instead of leaving just one floating around. Also, we do the same process with NAD+, one more time. What we have left of the main carbon compound is now oxaloacetic acid. Remember that from the beginning? Well, we just went through the whole citric acid cycle. Now we're ready for another acetyl-CoA to start it over again. There are a few things to keep in mind when you think about this process, though. 1. The Krebs cycle cannot always occur. If there's not enough oxygen present, a process called fermentation will happen instead. In plants, this produces alcohol. In animals, this produces lactic acid, which is what causes that burn you feel when you're working out. And 2. Since glycolysis makes 2 pyruvic acids, this process happens twice for each sugar. Therefore, every sugar makes 2 ATP instead of just 1.